Tony said he loves a good fluffing.
I love a good fluffing.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Midnight Monster Corner podcast. I'm your host, as always, Corey, and alongside me is my good pal Tony. What's going on, Tony?
What's up, man?
And then also we've got the one and only Daniel, aka Frosty. What's going on, man?
Contrary to popular belief, basements and creepy old houses, not a good idea to go into them. So I've noticed from watching certain movies.
Yeah, it's kind of a golden rule, isn't it?
Well, you think, but they always go in them. So
they do.
Yeah.
Or they go upstairs or whatever. Those creepy houses in general, they just always go into.
Yeah, I just watched a movie where a group of teenagers literally decided to go in there on Halloween night.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, totally. I mean, nothing creepy happens on Halloween.
Nothing at all.
No. Why would it? It's only Halloween.
It's only Halloween. And fuck attics, too. Don't go in the attics either.
Ooh.
Basement attics,
No.
don't.
Closets.
Yeah, attics are rough, man.
Don't go into closets either.
No, closets.
You know what? Just don't go in the fucking house.
Just
don't
refrain from going in the house, period.
Just instantly, I was just thinking of Donald Pleasance going, "Get your ass out of there!
Get your ass away from there!" I love that part, man. Still, it kills me every time. He gets so much enjoyment out of that too. He's so fucking cracking a smile, scared a bunch of little kids. He loves it.
I wonder if that was actually written in, or if he just legitimately wanted to creep the kids out. And they were like, "Oh, well, fuck it, we're filming it. We might as well just leave it in there now." It's Donald Pleasance, for Christ's sake.
Carpenter's like, "Man, it's too low of a budget, man. We can't reshoot that, and we just keep it in."
So the subject of this episode is horror franchises, in which we'll get into a deeper discussion later on about that. But first and foremost, Daniel, you've been watching a lot of films lately, haven't you?
Yeah, I've been killing it this week, man. It's it's Halloween in a week, and I've been I'm really killing the Netflix. I've been doing like this horror movie roulette where I'm like, I'll scroll down through a couple horror movies, I'll watch the trailer, and I'm like, you know what? I like that. I think I'm gonna watch that. So far this week I've watched a home invasion movie. I've watched a creepy haunted witch haunts the place movie. And then I also watched a slow burn psychological Stephen King thriller, which was really good, and I'll get into that. So jumping straight into what we've been watching.
Yeah, that's yeah.
Okay. I wasn't prepared for this.
I'm sorry.
No, I was just kidding. So I watched a movie called Hush. It was really good. I'm not entirely sure who directed the movie.
I know exactly who directed it. Mike Flanagan. He's been fucking killing it, man. Dude's been Oh yeah, dude. He's done a lot of like Stephen King adaptations. Like I know he did Gerald's Game, which is on Netflix, and I believe he did Dr. Sleep as well. But yeah, man, just his output is fantastic. I haven't seen a movie from him that I didn't like. Like everything I've seen from him has been awesome. So he's just knocking them out. Yeah.
Cool. A fun fact: the main actress in the movie, Kate Siegel, apparently was a co-writer for this movie.
Mm-hmm. And I think she's his wife too, if I'm not mistaken. I think they're married.
Well, she is quite the looker. She was amazing in this movie. So basically, she's a deaf and mute writer who I don't think she's on vacation. I think she actually lives like off, in the country road, kind of off the road a bit in this mountain like area. It's her and her neighbor who she's become really good friends with. and she is just holed up in there, chilling, cooking dinner, and writing a new story because apparently her last book came out and it was good, according to her friend, and she's kind of having writer's block, and she's just going through a lot of stuff. Like she's going through a breakup, and so you kind of follow in her footsteps for the first, I'd say, 15-ish minutes of the movie, and it really sets the stage of like who she is, what she's doing, her little bit of her background, and then the killer shows up really early in the movie, and it's not like a whodunit, kind of movie. It is like this guy's just a vengeful, bloodthirsty killer he's killing for fun, for sport, and almost like he's hunting because he's got a knife and a crossbow. Is all he's got, and it actually shows his face really early too. Like I was surprised by that because the synopsis talks about a masked killer. Well, it didn't take him long to take his mask off, and he's taunting her basically because she's stuck in his house, and he's done killed the power. He has her cell phone, and he has uh his her friend's cell phone, and there's no way for her to call. He slashes her tires, so even if she tried to make it to the car, she can't escape. Without going too much further into it and spoiling the movie if you haven't seen it, it's just really good. Like it's intense, and it puts her in a lot of like realistic scenarios, where like there's parts of the movie where I was like, that was really smart. I think I actually would have done that in this situation, that kind of deal. It's not like your typical, dumb girl in a house, don't know what to do. Like it's a chess game between the two because, everything, all the windows and doors are locked, and he's just taunting her, and he's watching inside the windows and the doors, and he can kind of see what she's doing. But then there's parts where like, she finds ways to kind of sneak off. Like using the alarm on the car to distract them so she could try to get out the window, that kind of stuff. And it's just really good. And then it gets to a point where like she realizes that there's really no escape, that there's only one option for her, and that is she's gonna have to like outsmart this guy. You know what I mean? And it's just really good. Corey, I think you would really like it. Like it's I wouldn't say so much, it was a thriller slasher. The one now?
It was definitely it definitely sided more on the thriller, but
Yeah.
man, I mean, and given the lead actress too, she was so damn good in this movie. Man. There's a scene where when she finds out what's going on and the guys outside and stuff like that, her look of sheer terror is so believable, man. It's
so believable. Yeah.
That is the one thing I remember from the movie is her look of just sheer terror, and Mike Flanagan has a way of doing that in his movies that I've noticed watching most of his filmography so far. He just has a way of purveying that absolute terror in people, and I'm just like I said, everything he puts out is just gold in my opinion. So he's definitely somebody to look out for, man. Corey, yeah, you definitely got to watch this movie if you get a chance to, dude.
Yeah, it's really good. I didn't know what I was getting into because I read the brief the synopsis, and I was like, that sounds really cool. I'm gonna check that out. And it just blew my mind how well made this movie was and just how intense it was, So I watched that one, and then I ended up watching 1922. Continuing my Netflix original Stephen King collection. As a big Stephen King fan, they're on Netflix. I figured, why not? It was between that and Gerald's Game. I ended up watching 1922 first because it has Thomas Jane. Is that his name?
Yep, Thomas Jane.
I keep want to say Patrick Jane. Patrick Jane is the character on The Mentalist. I actually said that the other day, and I was describing the movie to another friend of mine. I was like, wait a minute. Wrong person. Yeah, Thomas Jane played 2004 Punisher. I'll never forget that because it's kind of an inside joke between me and my buddy Daryl. My argument is that's a terrible Punisher movie. He loves it. I think Thomas Jane's an amazing actor, but just a terrible Punisher movie. That's just my opinion. um, anyways, God, fantastic movie. This was. It is actually labeled a slow burn, and it's psychological. Um, just to kind of give you the rundown, basically he uh is married to this woman who inherited like over 100 acres of farmland in Nebraska, and it's him and his son. His son's 14, and he's like very close with his son, and they work the lands together. And he doesn't want to give up this land, but she's wanting to sell the land and move to the city. And he's like, I don't want to do that. If we're going to do that, we're going to get a divorce. It's not working out anyway. And she's like, well, I'm still going to sell. It's my land. There's nothing you can do about it. So he actually talks his son into helping him kill his wife. As dark and twisted as that is.
Yep.
And of course, like nothing good comes out of that. They're constantly having to cover their tracks. He's constantly haunted by the idea that he killed his wife, and then it just, it tells a really good like story about the depravity of what goes through a man's mind who, he really should have thought about his actions ahead of time. There's a word called prudence, to think things through to their natural end and always make the right decision. Yeah, he didn't do that.
Yeah.
Definitely did not do that. But God, fantastic movie. Thomas Jane's performance in this movie, like there's, when you watch a movie with an actor you've seen 100 times, but you can't recognize him in the movie, he's doing so good. That was Thomas Jane in this movie. Like he was a completely different person. It was so good. So highly recommend that one. And lastly, I actually watched one today called House of the Witch, which was kind of your, I would say, stereotypical movie where teenagers decide to investigate an old house, where urban legend has it this house is haunted, and if you're caught on the property, you can get arrested for trespassing, blah blah blah. And there's all these hundreds of stories about this house, and they don't care. Teenagers do not give a shit.
Mm-hmm.
So they're just like, hey, it's Halloween night. Let's go to this house. So they do. And they end up getting trapped inside. And there's like this, there's a witch in the house, haunting the house and terrorizing them. But it's, this movie was cool because it was like the witch it definitely wasn't just a spirit. Like this witch had the power to actually hurt you, like cause physical pain and kill you even. And so it showed you the power of this witch. Like she could traverse the house by like turning into this dark mist, but then she can turn back into her physical form. So it was kind of cool to see that. It was like she was like a damn X-Men villain or something, but it was, it was really cool to see that. And some of the death scenes in the movie were pretty gruesome. Like, most movies you watch like this, it's like The Conjuring is all about just scaring the hell out of you.
Mm-hmm.
But this movie was like, if she gets her hands on you, she's gonna kill you. And so there were some pretty gruesome scenes. There's one scene where their buddy of theirs who originally got trapped in the mansion, they found him in the basement, which is, again, the worst place you could go in a house like this. And they're trying to like, the cage is connected to this pulley system, and they're pulling this rope trying to get him out. And as the cage lifts up, he's trying to climb out from underneath the cage. And she comes in the room and interferes in a nutshell. And the cage falls and slams right on the dude's head. So, and it was pretty gruesome. So it's weird to see scenes like that in a movie like this, because I'm so used to watching, if you watch like I said, The Conjuring, it's just like, oh no, a jump scare, which there was plenty of them in this movie. It was more like she can physically cause you harm. Like, so, and it had a really cool ending too. So if anything, I'd say, and the movie's not that long, hour and a half maybe. If anything, I recommend watching it just so you can get to the end, because the end was pretty twisted.
All right.
So that's that one's actually been on my radar for a minute. Actually, all the ones that you've talked about have been on my radar for a minute. So
yeah,
looks like I got some watching to do.
Oh yeah, definitely. Definitely watch Hush in 1922. I definitely recommend those. I mean, I recommend them all. Hell, watch them all. It's Halloween. What the fuck? But yeah, it was good. There was a couple lines in the movie too that made me laugh. Like one of the characters who's like freaking out and he's getting scared. He's like, "It's game over, man." I was like, "Wait a minute." Like that's not an obvious nod to Bill Paxton or anything. But
the greatest Bill Paxton, man.
yeah, so,
He was so fucking cool. Such a good actor.
12 days. Be lucky if we last 12 hours, man. Rest in peace.
Yes. Rest in peace, Bill.
But that's me. That's what I've been watching.
Did you have you bought anything this week or no?
Me, no. I'm gonna try to maybe make my way up to Scratch and Spin this weekend. Depending on how busy I get, but I've just been knocking out my Netflix backlog because there's a lot of good stuff on Netflix, and I have Hulu. There's stuff on Hulu too.
Mm-hmm.
And there's always Vudu as well if I'm in the mood to rent something. So,
right on. And what about you, Tony? Have you watched anything or bought anything?
Yeah, I did pick up one title, man. I picked up. I went to Walmart, and every time I see like a Shudder sticker on a movie, I have to get it because I love Shudder, and their original stuff is pretty good. So I picked up a movie called The Pale Door, and it sounded interesting because it's actually a Western horror film, which they don't make a ton of.
what?
Yeah, which I wish they did, man, because it's such a good there's a movie that I watched that was just absolutely fucking fantastic called Bone Tomahawk. That's a Western horror film. It's so good, dude. It's amazing. So I'm always down for some Western horror. So when I saw this, read the premise, I was completely sold. Basically, a group of outlaws, one of which is the leader. Um, they actually plan a heist to rob a train, and when one of their crew ends up getting killed, he reluctantly gets his younger brother to help them out. So when they get to this train, they rob the train. They find that there's a group of mercenaries pretty much taking care of this giant chest in the middle of the train. So they kill everyone and get the chest out, open it up, thinking it's going to be, some gold or some money, but instead they find this young girl in this chest. So they're like, okay, well, this wasn't what we thought we were going to get. So they're really confused. And she said, hey, if you guys want, you could take me back to my town and they'll reward you. Because I was taken from this town, and we're all good. We're all down to help you guys out since you saved me pretty much. But when they get to this town, there's more to this town than meets the eye, and basically they get involved in this coven of witches that run this town. And I guess I'll leave the premise there because it's an out there movie, man. It just there's some I enjoyed it, but there's a little bit of like comedy mixed in, which I didn't really enjoy. I wish they would have kept it more serious in tone. And I think it would have worked for the narrative better. But there's some good scenes. I mean, there's some good spot actors in here like Pat Healy and Bill Sage, and even Stan Shaw from Monster Squad is in this, which is I didn't even know he was still doing movies, but apparently he is. And it was really surprising to see him. I was like, wow, like damn, I did not know he was still acting. So I had fun with it, man. It was a good little watch. I wouldn't say it's the best movie ever, but I had fun with it. It was solid. But yeah, I watched that, and then I ended up watching. I just got the Friday box set in, so I had to pop in and Friday 13th and watch that and check out the transfer and see how that was. And
Friday's a classic, man. Ice Cube, Chris Tucker.
Yeah, it is. I had to check out the transfer and see how it was, man. And I was pleasantly surprised with it. It was really, really fun. Friday, we'll get into it, when we talk about franchises. But it's of course it's a classic. So I had fun with it. Had a good time watching it. But other than that, man, I haven't really watched much this week. Actually, this week coming up, I'm planning on watching a ton of shit. Gearing up for Halloween this weekend coming up. So I'm gonna try to watch a ton of movies this week.
Did I mention I watched the new Tremors? Was that
No,
you
the
didn't.
last show? I think I watched it right after we recorded last. Maybe the next day after we recorded or something.
Yeah.
I forgot about that one. Yeah, I watched the new Tremors. It's on Netflix. It just came out. It's on Netflix, and it was pretty good. I will say that like the special effects and all were dope, but there was just a couple things about the movie I really didn't like. Like John Hader was in the movie, and I was really excited about that, but his acting in the movie kind of sucked.
Oh,
you mean Napoleon Dynamite?
Yes, yes,
Wow.
Napoleon Dynamite was in this movie,
Okay.
and
I think we were joking because we kind of watched a little bit of that, and then we joked about it together, didn't we? I
yeah,
was, I was like, "Eat your food, Tina."
freaking idiot, God. Yeah, so I mean, he was okay in the movie, but it was just weird. Like there was actually a scene in it when they were walking through the jungle where they were hunting these shriekers, and of course, shriekers hunt by heat vision, and it switched over to heat vision, like as in the first person view of the shrieker, but it was very predator-esque. It was like it even had like some of the same noises, like the heartbeat noise and all. And then like it would zoom in. And I was like, what the freak? Shriekers can't zoom in? Like predators zoom in because they got a fucking helmet that allows them to zoom in. It's like, what is this predator ripoff? And then it's funny because they actually made predator references later in the movie. Because he was telling them how shriekers hunt by heat vision. And John Hader's character was like, "Oh, you mean like the predator?" And then there was a part where they're in the cave to hunt down like the last remnant of the shriekers, and John Hader starts rubbing mud all over himself. And Bert's like, "What are you doing?" And he's like, "I'm rubbing mud on myself so they can't see me like Arnold and the Predator." I was like, "Come on, man!"
Oh
Like,
man.
and then they're like on this island where the only people that have real weapons are like the hunters that they're not really agreeing with. So Bert shows up to this raid to like help them take out these graboids and these shriekers and all, and like he doesn't really have weapons. It's like Bert Gummer without guns. Was there some
Yeah,
kind
that's
of hidden like anti-gun agenda here? Fun fact: I actually learned that Michael Gross is actually a staunch Democrat, and I was, not to get political, but it's he. I don't think he believes in the Second Amendment, which is weird because he's made his career based off a guy who loves guns. Yeah, it's just one of those funny contrasts when, like,
Kind of a fun fact.
yeah, it's like when you meet the guy that plays Michael Myers, and he's like a really nice guy. You're like, you're supposed to be a psycho killer. Please kill me now.
I'm
No,
just so glad I'm so glad he's in it, man. I'm so glad Burt Gummer was a constant stalwart in that franchise and that he was
yeah,
always there. I mean, it's so cool. He's
yeah, and
such a fucking fun character. He
yeah,
really
he's a lot of fun, and
oh
the I don't know, the ending kind of pissed me off. I don't want to spoil it. Um, in the event you guys want to sit down and watch it, I'll say I'll save it for about a week, and if you decide, hey, I'm not gonna get to it, then I'll open up the beans and you know spill the
Spilling.
beans. Yep, I'll spill the beans and let you know what's up. But for now, I'll just kind of put a lid on that. But fun movie. I mean, it's Tremors. I love Tremors. I will say the last one, the Cold Day in Hell, I think was better than this one.
Okay.
But yeah,
Right on.
sorry, I wasn't trying to butt in. I just remember that I watched that movie.
oh hell yeah, dude. I need to sit down and watch that. I mean, I watch the original Tremors all the time, but I never sit down and watch the rest of them. So I need to sit down and actually watch those to kind of get back up to speed with them. It's been too long.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, realistically, you can watch the first two and just not watch any of the other ones.
I kind of
But
want to punish myself.
yeah, I mean, like they're just so fun. You
Yeah.
know, they're fun movies. They really are. Like the
Not
third
really.
one, the third one was pretty cool. It had its issues. The fourth one is a prequel. It took place in the Western times, for God's sake. I think the only one I didn't watch was the one where they're in Africa. Like, I didn't know that one even existed, but Cold Day in Hell was cool. That one's on Netflix too.
That must have been Bloodlines. Okay.
Bloodlines. That's it.
Yeah. Right on. Tony, was that it for you?
Yeah, that was it for me, man. Like I said, like I'm really gonna gear up to watch a lot this week. Because it's starting to slow down a little bit, it's starting to kind of chill a little bit, so I'll be able to sit down and watch a couple. Just focus mainly on like Halloween themed movies. I want to like pick out from the collection like ones that particularly take place on Halloween and watch a bunch of those.
Mm.
So I might just do that tomorrow, starting on.
Hocus Pocus.
Yeah,
Mm.
I watched that way too much as a kid.
Mhm.
Way
Yeah.
too much, as most people did.
I did too.
Yeah.
Well, I only watched two this past week. Um, well, realistically, only one horror film. I did want to mention the film that you and I watched, Tony, as
Oh, okay.
well.
You didn't want to talk about that. Okay, I didn't know if we were talking about that or not. All right, cool.
I mean, it deals with a dead body. I mean, we might as well. And that there was some horrific scenes in that film.
I'm just
So,
thinking about like some of the scenes now, and they're fucking cracking me up.
yeah, yeah. I've been telling anyone and everyone about this film because it was funny. So I'll go ahead and talk about the first one, and that was hashtag alive, which is again on Netflix.
Yeah, I've been
Now,
looking at that one.
now going into it, I really didn't know what to expect with this. I did watch the trailer before going into it, so right away I knew that they were fast zombies. That this was pretty much to me not so much a zombie film as it was an infect film. Um, even though they don't really hint around like an infectious disease or anything, they're dead. They're there. They're fucking shit up. They're very fast.
Mm.
Um, but I love how the story, it follows this gamer kid in an apartment, and pretty much just like you see him just slowly deteriorating. I mean, at one point he starts rationing out his food down to like the last candy bar. I mean, and then to at one point he's got like a bowl of noodles that says last meal on it or last supper on it or something.
Mm.
Um,
Was this candy bar or was it Snickers?
no, I mean they were like Nutri-Grain bars or whatever.
Yeah, he's gonna fucking die.
Well, I
Because he
mean,
made the wrong choice. I mean,
but well, at least he's gonna die very angry because you gotta have a Snickers in order
that's
not to
right.
be.
One grumpy zombie victim.
But yeah. So and then he pretty much like at one point he's like wanting to. My favorite part of the whole film is pretty much like he finds out that he has a voicemail, and the whole time he's like very family oriented. So he's like wondering if his family's alive or not, and then like he gets a voicemail from his mom or his dad, and he's like, oh, holy shit, so he like has to lean out the window above all the zombies with a selfie stick just to hear this message. And like it's his parents going, we're held up at your father's office, and we're safe. And then he's like, oh, thank God. And the next thing you know, you just hear zombies busting in and fucking his parents up. It's like, well, there goes your hope.
Yeah.
Just like that. So pretty much like he goes to off himself, as most people would in a zombie apocalypse. And pretty much this girl across the street in another apartment complex is like, don't do that, and she starts communicating with him, and they end up forming an alliance, and she's badass. She fucking rappels down out of her apartment at one point and starts fucking them up like crazy. It's insane, and there's intense moments. So the only thing that I can definitively say I didn't care about that film was the zombies itself, and I'm just not a fan of fast zombies, in my opinion. I like slow zombies. Now, if it's an infect film, different, but it didn't say that this was an infect film, you know.
Mm.
So, but that was it for the first one. The second one was actually Tony came over. What did you come over Friday and we watched this?
Friday. Yeah, it was Friday night.
Yeah, we watched Swiss Army Man.
Nice.
Have you seen this, Daniel?
No, I'm not.
It is hilarious. I mean, just the amount of ass ripping this
Oh,
corpse
dude,
does.
it's so
Like,
much farting going on.
the fart jokes are never not funny. Oh, I've heard of this movie.
He
I have
basically straps
heard
on
of this
Daniel
movie.
Radcliffe
Yeah.
and rides him like a fucking jet ski. And then at one point, his fucking boner was like navigating the way home. Oh,
Yeah, I've heard of this movie. I was like, oh my god, I gotta watch this movie.
Oh
yeah,
man, you definitely got to. It's out there. It's fucking way out there.
yeah.
It's hard to
It was
believe.
just, it was so much fun watching though.
It really was, man. I mean, we were just 1 minute we were just completely confused. The next minute we were just laughing our ass off, and then we just keep flip flopping back and forth, like just
Yeah,
being fucking completely lost, just cracking up, man. Just one scene after another. It was a journey.
it really
So
was.
to put it bluntly, it was a journey. But I had fun with it, man. It was so much. It was a good time.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was definitely fun. So highly recommend that to anyone that hasn't seen that. And again, I know it's not horror related, but it's still a fun film to watch.
I'm looking at the reviews on IMDb. Somebody was like 8 out of 10 fart jokes. Swiss Army Man is deep and unpredictable.
It was definitely unpredictable. I will agree with that.
That's definitely a great way to sum that up.
It
But
really.
those are the only two that I watched throughout the week.
I
Gotta be
would say that
recap.
I am incredulous. The only persons who would enjoy this are the Association and International Union of Necrophiliacs and Flatulent Lovers. No one else.
I'm a flatulent lover, so there you go. Uh, Now I did have quite a big haul this week. I actually went to so yeah, basically if anyone has a Dollar Tree around, go and check them out because yeah, I
Mm.
walked into one and I got three films. There was a lot more that I wanted to grab, but I controlled myself a little. But I mean, the dollar a piece, you can't beat that.
Yeah,
So
dude.
this first one is an IFC Midnight and Scream Factory, and that's the Devil's Dolls. I don't know anything about this, and actually, this is actually a I didn't check, but I already had it in the collection, so I actually picked up a extra copy. So my bad, but still for a
It
dollar.
happens. It happens to the best of us, man.
Yeah, I guess I'm getting to that point where my collection's so large that I forget what I have in it now. I did notice they had a copy. I didn't pick it up because I've already got it on Blu-ray, but they had the DVD of Hobo with a Shotgun there for a
Hmm.
dollar. I mean, you can't find that anywhere else like that.
No, definitely not. That's a no-brainer.
That's cheaper than flea market, man. You know?
Yep, and they're new.
Uh,
Overstock?
yeah. Huh?
Overstock?
I don't know, but yeah, just you find some amazing titles in there. A couple weeks ago, I was at one and um, I was at the one in Red Bank, and there was a copy of there was a copy of uh, Pulse, the Japanese version. which was awesome. Because again, when do you find that for $1 in the wild? I mean,
wild, no less.
yeah. The next film that I picked up was Sushi Girl.
Nice.
I love the cover art. Saw Tony Todd on it. Had to have it.
Great.
Huh?
It's a great one. That's a good one.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's fun.
And this one actually my wife picked up because I know nothing about it, and it looks terrible. But it's called Freshwater, and it shows this ginormous crocodile eating a woman on the cover. Kind of looks like Jaws, not gonna lie.
You said Kelsey picked that up?
Yeah.
She has an obsession with large water animals.
She does, yes.
Killing people, that is. Is there a horror movie about hippos? Gotta
there
be.
needs to be.
Like according to a stat that I saw a couple years ago, like hippos kill more people every year than any other mammal.
Yeah, that's true.
Fucking movie about it then.
I know. You think?
Why hasn't that been explored yet?
Like poor kids go into the water hole to swim and big
To
ass
come out
hippo.
alive.
Yeah.
Oh, dude,
I
can you
mean,
imagine?
Jumanji kind of hit on that a little bit.
Fuck, man.
If you watch the movie Jumanji, they kind of hit on that a little bit.
Old Jumanji, that old classic horror.
I'm just thinking like it would be gnarly to get like ravaged by a hippo. That would be. I mean, yeah, you'd have to have some good effects artists on that because oh man, that would be sick.
It wouldn't be hard. It would just be full of blood afterwards.
Yeah, dude.
There would be nothing.
Shells and like big nubby teeth.
Nubby teeth. Oh man.
Not even sharp.
Yeah, they need to make. They definitely do.
So the last 4 films of my haul, the horror pack actually came in early, and I got Carrie, Lights Out. This one here, I'm kind of excited about. Dead Dicks. And
Dead Dicks.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited because the exclusive for the horror pack this month was the Barn, and Tony actually told me about the Barn like a long time ago. He told me I needed to get my hands on it, and I've been like waiting and waiting and waiting, and honestly, it's just lack of not buying it because it's only like $10 for the Blu-ray or whatever, and then I get this in the mail, and it's got like really good alternative art and. Oh, it's gorgeous.
It's after Becca receives a distressing call from her suicidal brother Richie. She rushes over to his apartment to find him alive and well, surrounded by copies of his own dead body. So it's like Multiplicity, but way more fucked up.
I like that.
You gotta let me know how that one is, Corey. I'm kind of curious about Dead Dicks.
Tony, I never knew.
Well, when you got excited, you said you were excited. I was like, "Are you excited for some dick?"
I mean, there's a movie about a talking, killing turkey on Thanksgiving Day. I wouldn't put it past them to have a movie about dicks that kill people.
Isn't there, Tony? There is a movie about a killer dick, isn't there?
Yeah, there's a Ron Jeremy movie about his killer dick. It's hilarious.
Yeah,
it's called One-Eyed Monster.
What's it called?
It's called One-Eyed Monster. That's a real movie, dude. I shit you not. I'm not joking. I can't make that up.
Don't give him a second. He's looking it up now, I'm sure.
Totally am.
But that's that. That's it. That's so that's all I've watched, and that's my haul.
That's a good one. Yeah, dude. I'm gonna watch. That's one that's gonna be on the agenda to watch this week. Is The Barn. I want to watch it again.
Yeah,
love watching.
I'm excited. I want to check it out.
Yeah. Fuck yeah.
It looks very Halloweenish too. Like there's pumpkins and shit all on the back of it.
There's such a good Halloween aesthetic, man, in that movie. It's really fantastically done, man. And essentially the three slashers, the villains are really fucking cool.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. And the gore in that movie is fucking awesome too, man. It's really, really gory.
That's cool.
Yeah. I think you'll dig it, dude.
I'm already wanting to dig it.
Yeah.
That's cool. So you guys ready to jump into the final discussion?
Yeah, man, let's do it. Let's do it.
Do it.
All right. So this week it's on horror franchises. Now, Daniel, earlier when we were talking, you brought up a good point, and it was a point that Tony and myself actually brought up to each other. What was it today? I think when we talked about it.
Yeah,
pretty much like a unwritten rule, I would say, on what makes a franchise, right? So anything past like a trilogy would be considered franchise, correct?
I would agree.
Yeah. So I guess let's just jump straight into like what's your favorite franchise?
Well, the best franchise is obviously the Leprechaun.
Yeah,
Just
man,
kidding.
those
It's
leprechauns.
critters.
Oh yeah.
I guess if I had to pick like a definitive favorite franchise for me personally, it'd have to be Alien. The Aliens movie. I mean, we talked about it earlier how like it started out a quadrilogy because I wasn't sure or they weren't sure if they were gonna make another one. And it stayed the quadrilogy for years, and then it was then we eventually got Prometheus, which was the inevitable prequel, which was very mixed with fans. I mean, I enjoyed it for what it was. I don't think it was like the best representation of aliens, but there was some really cool stuff in the movie. I guess I was just happy to be watching an alien movie again. Then there was Covenant, which I don't think I've even seen that one yet. To be honest, I heard it wasn't good, so I hadn't touched it yet. And that happens with sequels, and we'll get into that. How a movie can suffer from sequelitis. And Alien was one of those rare movies where you had the first one was fantastic and always would be remembered as like the best. And then Aliens, a lot of fans loved Aliens, and it's still really good. Like it still held up the horror aspects of the movie, but it just showed you like the sheer like terrifying power of the xenomorphs once they start to reproduce. Then you had the introduction of the Queen, and it was just really cool. They added a lot of action elements to it, but it was still terrifying. And of course they try to go back to the horror roots with 3. It was just kind of bland, kind of fell flat. And then Resurrection, they try to go back to the action, but by then it was like, a lot of the practical effects were kind of taking they're kind of pushing them to the side to add more special effects, and it was like, a lot of movies around that time. When was Resurrection filmed? I'd say, late 90s,
Late
early
90s, 97, something like that. I want to say 97. I might be wrong on that.
Yeah,
might be a little off.
97. Wow.
I have my moments.
Yeah,
he's like a book of knowledge.
So around this time is when we were getting into like the early millennial movies where in the early 2000s where special effects was just kind of kicking off. So it was the aliens just at the time, I guess it was cool to see them on screen, but it was rough, and I like this the story just wasn't as good, and the later installments really suffered from sequelitis, in my opinion. Now, Scream is another one of my favorite franchises.
Mm-hmm.
It was a trilogy for the longest time.
The longest time.
And then they finally got a part 4, and I hear they're filming another one.
They're in part 5. Yep. When COVID hit, so they had to postpone.
Yeah. So
that's. I'm glad they've got some of the originals back into it. I think Courtney Cox signed on, along with David Arquette signed on as well. Nev Campbell, right? She signed on too.
I think so.
Yep.
Yeah. So I mean, that's really cool. I'm really excited about that. As long as they don't bring Jamie Kennedy back.
No. Poor Randy.
Oh my gosh. Why'd you bring that up?
I'm sorry.
Most unjustified killing in any horror movie. So here's a fun one. I haven't watched these in a very long time, but the Puppet Masters were pretty cool.
Oh yeah,
they were. Yes,
me and my dad used to watch those together. There's 13 of those movies.
Yeah, there's a ton of Puppet Masters, dude. There's so many.
It's crazy. Silent Night, Deadly Night. Is there like 5 or 6 of those?
Yep.
Yeah,
I think there's 6 of them all together.
There was only 2 that were good.
Punish. I know. I see. Recall Psycho being a franchise. I know they remade it.
Was there a 4th film?
There was a 4th film. It was like a TV film. So yeah, they definitely did. They did 4. I think they did another one, if I'm not mistaken. But I know there's definitely 4. It was more of a TV film.
See, I didn't know they made sequels. I thought they just remade that movie a bunch.
Yeah.
No.
Like if you take Psycho, if you take like of course the first Psycho, the second and third, that would be one of the greatest trilogies of all time, because those movies are absolutely fantastic.
They really are. I actually more so endured the second film. I really love that film. I don't know if it was just because it wasn't in black and white, and it was in color, but I really liked the storyline of that one. That one was really
was great. It was really good, man. I love the way they did it, to where he kind of like, he's kind of reformed, but they push him and push him and push him to turn back into, to mother again. So I love that storyline. And then the third one's really fun too.
Yeah.
Really, really cool. The opening scene in that one is just wicked. And of course it's got, one of the coolest characters in, what's his name? Is it Duke or Dwayne? One of the guy that's the drifter in the third one. He is so damn funny. Like some of the shit he says, some of the like lines. Yeah. He's good.
Now,
He's good. That's another good one.
Yes, definitely. Now, real quick, Daniel, to your point, what's your thoughts on? So you talked about Alien franchise. What's your thoughts on Alien versus Predator being part of that franchise? Would you consider it to be part of it?
That's a tough one. I don't think so. I really think it'd be more. I always considered Alien versus Predator series more part of the Predator universe, because you kind of root for the Predators, which is in a weird way. Like even in the ones where he's hunting the humans, like you kind of root for the Predator. I don't, because he's just such a badass creature, like and which the older movies did. I can't remember if they kept up with this in the newer movies, but like they hunted by code. Like they wouldn't hunt pregnant women. They wouldn't hunt unarmed people. Like they didn't care to kill those kind of people. If you were unarmed and you're a woman, you happen to get killed by a predator, chances are it was by accident. Like we talked about in Alien vs Predator 2, when he threw the disc at the alien, and happened to hit that girl as she was walking by or running by. He's just like, my bad. Like, it happens.
Whoops. Whoops.
So they hunt by code. They hunt. They just have all these really cool gadgets and all, and so you kind of root for them, like, in a weird way. So I think the Alien versus Predator, you always I think it's more of the part of the Predator universe, if anything. That, and like, there's not as many installments of Predator as there is Alien, so I think you would kind of want to balance it out with that,
Yeah.
Now, I will say the first Alien vs. Predator movie isn't part of any universe. That movie sucked. Not my Alien vs. Predator movie. But the second one was really good. Definitely made up for a lot of the mishaps in the first one. So, and then definitely showed like the badassery of the Predator in that movie. So, plus xenomorphs are just kind of sleazeballs. Like, they hide out in the dark, and they'll kill whatever. They don't care. Like, they'll from conception to birth, like, they'll eat a cat. Like, they don't care. Like, they're mean little things. They're giant alien rats.
Yeah.
And they don't care. Whereas the Predators are more tamed. They're more civilized. They're more of a civilized species.
Well, they supposedly taught the human race to be civilized, right? Isn't that how the storyline went? Like, they taught us how to build and stuff like that. I think that's how it was explained.
You thinking Prometheus?
I don't know.
Because I know that was part of the Alien. Whenever Prometheus came out, it was kind of like the alien race was part of the earlier species that created humans. They were like our gods, quote unquote. And the xenomorphs were like a weapon that they had created that just got out of hand. And they realized that it got out of hand, and it basically was their undoing. So that might be what you're thinking of. I don't remember any arc that talked about the Predators, like, teaching us. I could be wrong. There was probably a scene for one of the movies where they helped us build the pyramids or some shit. I don't know.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking, but I could be wrong.
Yeah, I definitely want to go back and revisit those movies, though. I mean, I've seen the first Predator and the first Alien 100 times, but the later sequels was, where they typically want to explain more of the story. By then, it's kind of like, well, a lot of the fans feel like you've ruined it, so what do we even care now, And so, yeah, I'd like to revisit those movies, definitely. But yeah, AVP probably more part of the Predator universe. Not to mention, like, even if you go back in the comics, it was more like the Predators were the good guys of the story, and the Xenomorphs were like the sleazeballs of the universe that had to be eradicated by the Predator race. And if you played the arcade game back in the day, the Predators were pretty cool. You could actually pick the Marines or the Predators. And you fought a bunch of aliens, so. Even though they're bad guys, does not make them bad guys.
Guys?
What about you, Tony? What's some of your favorites?
Well, I mean, if anybody knows me and they know what I gravitate to, I'm always unapologetically a Friday the 13th fanboy. It's my most beloved franchise. I watched those movies, some would say, like, an unhealthy amount of times.
Yeah.
I've just seen them so many damn times, dude. I just love how simple and to the point they are. There's no gimmick. There's no this. It's just Jason killing teens and stalking and slashing and just doing his thing. There's no gimmicks at all. It's just simple slasher fare, and that's what I love about it. And each one, and I noticed, throughout the years watching them, I know the studios are like, oh, this is not like this is not a franchise that we're proud of. We don't want to put them out and stuff like that. But they're money makers. They're making tons of money in the box office, so they're gonna keep pumping them out. They're gonna keep doing them. And I know we had a conversation about, we hope that the rights get cleared up, that they actually can make a new Friday the 13th, because we've been, we've hit a dry spell with it, man. It's been, I think the remake came out in 2009. It's been long enough. Like, we need a new Friday the 13th, man.
There's been licensing issues with that for a while.
Yeah, there has. It's been.
I know Adam Sessler. He used to. I don't know if you know who Adam Sessler is. He used to host X Play.
X Play, yep.
Yeah, he and a team of developers got a Kickstarter, and they made a Friday the 13th video game.
So cool.
Which, from what I heard, was actually pretty good. Only problem is, I don't think they were able to retain the rights to keep the server going because of like licensing issues. Like the guy who owned the name Friday the 13th or whatever was fighting him on it. So they were just like, we don't want a legal battle. Just screw it, Yeah. So you can still get your hands on the game, but I don't know if you can actually play online, which is where the game shines, because one person's a Jason and everyone else is like the teenagers trying to hide and survive, And it's a really cool concept. But so yeah, they were having licensing issues with that. So it's probably what's going on now. It's probably why we haven't seen the new movie in a while.
Yeah, that's totally what it is, and it's unfortunate.
Yeah.
No, go ahead, Corey. I think you were going to say something, man. Go ahead.
Oh, I'm just saying. Yeah, I actually do have that video game, and it's been a minute since I've played it. Honestly, I used to like just watching Kelsey play it. It was kind of fun. At one point, I noticed like you could unlock different Jasons on that video game.
Yeah, it's awesome.
They had the original Jason from Super Nintendo on there one time, hacking up young kids on that, and I was like, "Holy shit, that's cool!" There it was, this fucking Jason that was glowing neon, like turquoise and purple, like chasing people down, and I was like, "Holy shit, that's the fucking Super Nintendo Jason."
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can tell that the guys that developed that game or that made that game added the patches to it. You could tell that they were like genuine fans, and
there was different like cabins that you would enter into, and you if you're a Friday fanboy like yourself and myself, you would instantly know what film that cabin was from and stuff.
Oh yeah.
Instantly there was like scenes from like there was like a certain car, and you're like, oh my god, I remember that car from this movie. So it was pretty cool. They really did take their time and throw definitely a lot of homage to the movies itself into the game, which I loved.
Absolutely. And at the end of the day, I just, from a young age, I've grown up on these movies. I remember they used to be on cable. Used to watch them all the time. Of course, they were edited, and the gore wasn't there, and the MPA just completely, they did more slashing than Jason did, man. They slashed the gore out of these movies so much. It's so unfortunate that we're probably never going to get like the actual like gore cuts of these films, because I mean, in a lot of ways it would just add just a different level to it. But then I think too, like, some of the way that the scenes are edited and the gore's cut kind of might help it. I know a perfect example of that is the one of the most famous kills in the franchise, the sleeping bag kill. Originally, it was supposed to be, I think, a like 3 or 4 whacks against the tree, but they just did it. They just did the one, and they cut it to the one because the MPA like absolutely threw a fit and didn't want that scene to be longer. So they did the one hit, which was more impactful, more effective. I think that was probably the better decision. So I mean, the MPA wasn't all wrong. I mean, that actually played out pretty good, but there was a ton of gore, especially in the later Fridays, like Part 7.
Yes.
In particular, like Part 7 was really butchered, and it's really unfortunate that that we're probably never going to get like all that footage back into the movie. But I've always been a Jason guy, man. Jason's always been my dude. So he's I mean, Friday 13th is definitely my favorite franchise of all time.
Yeah, I can agree with that. And to your point, I would say almost number 8 would be kind of the turning point in the more gorier scenes. Um, I from what I can remember, I think that was kind of the turning point. Would you agree to that?
Yeah, I would agree to that. Because I think the one that got away with the gore more was, and this is my personal favorite in the franchise as well, is Part 4, which I think is the prototypical like perfect slasher film. Like you can't get better than Friday 13th Part 4 as far as like a pure slasher film. It's amazing. It's got everything you would want in a slasher movie. But I think they got away with more gore in that one than any in the franchise. And, you know, a lot of that had to do with Tom Savini's effects. And, you know, he had taken a break from part 2 and part 3 because he basically said, well, I don't understand. You know, he was confused about the whole, like, if Jason's the killer, it doesn't make any sense because he drowned as a little boy. And that's why, you know, Pamela, you know, Voorhees was the killer in the first Friday the 13th. So he's like, I don't understand where you're going with this. I'm not really on board with it. So when part 2 and part 3 came about, he was like, I'm done. I'm not, you know, I don't want anything to do with it. I'm just going to go off and do, you know, other movies like The Burning and stuff like that. But, you know, he came back in full force in part 4 and the gore was absolutely fucking fantastic. So it was good to see him back. And I know, as far as I'm concerned, that one was the pinnacle of gore in the franchise. They were able to get away with so much in that movie in particular. So, and I love part 5. I know part 5 is the bastard child in the franchise because, spoiler alert, Jason's not the killer in part 5. Roy's actually the killer in part 5. It's copycat Jason. But I think if they would have had Jason be the killer in that movie, I think that would be the fan favorite, or like right up there with part 4 and part 6 and part 3 and part 2 is, you know, the pinnacle of the Friday the 13th film, because that movie's got it all too. It's butchered by the MPAA, but still, I mean, it's got great characters. Great. I mean, it's a fun movie. I've always loved it. I really didn't see the hate for it. I mean, I get it. Jason's not the killer. I get it. But still, if you just take it for face value, it's a fun slasher film. So I can go on and on and on. But yeah, there's no doubt in my mind that's always, I'm always going to be a Friday fanboy. So unapologetic Friday fanboy. So.
Oh, yeah.
What's your guys' thoughts on I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, you're good, man. I was gonna say just a second would be, you know, Nightmare on Elm Street, because they did, you know, it's the polar opposite of Friday, where they added more imaginative stuff with, with the way the series went on. They added a lot more, you know, fantastical stuff, you know, that Freddy was able to do, because he could get into your mind and get into your head. And there was a lot of great scenes and a lot of really, really fantastic stuff done in that franchise. So that's always been my second favorite. I love the Nightmare on Elm Street franchise as well. So
Yeah, Tony, I would agree to that. Friday the 13th, I would say, would be probably my number one franchise. And Nightmare would come in on a close second. Like you said, it's the elaborate kills, just the off the wall shit that occurs in those films.
yeah,
Because you can get away with things like in your dream, like that's where he's killing people, is in their dreams.
mm-hmm.
So you know anything and everything can happen in a dream. So yeah,
And
it's left to the imagination, and I think that's what makes that franchise just so damn unique.
it's unique, man. And Freddy's got so much personality. You know, there's so many good lines and so many interesting things that he does throughout the franchise. He's got the personality that Jason didn't have. That Jason was a silent, stalking slasher, and Freddy was the wisecracking. Especially in the later sequels, he was the wisecracking, more comedic. The first couple of Nightmare on Elm Street movies were he was just terrifying. Like he was absolutely terrifying. And then he became throughout the franchise a little bit more comedic and a little bit more, slapstick, and then it got a little ham and a little ridiculous, but still, if you just take those, the first three, I mean, the second one always it's the bastard franchise. It's the bastard child of that franchise as well because of everything that goes down in that movie. But I love that one as well. So if you take the first three, I mean, you can't top it, man. Especially Dream Warriors. Dream Warriors is on another level.
Yeah, that's my favorite right there.
Yeah, it's my favorite franchise as well.
Yeah. You were wanting to chime in and say something?
Oh, I was gonna say, what are y'all's thoughts on like TV franchises? Because we're getting to the point where, we're not just seeing movie sequels being made, but like actual, call it what you will, Netflix shows, television shows being made, um, over a period of time. Let's say The Walking Dead would be a good example, even though I know it's probably more of like a slow burn, psychological human interest kind of show. Like there's the zombies, it's the zombie show, but it's also, tells a story about these survivors.
Mm.
One I'm thinking of is American Horror Story. That's of course been franchised. They're up to season 7 now.
I haven't watched the first episode of American Horror Story. I really don't watch, unfortunately, a lot of TV to begin with. So yeah, I'm bad when it comes to TV and horror and stuff like that. I just mainly stick to movies. But that's actually a good point, man.
Yeah, it's an anthology series.
Yeah.
And it's really good. Like each season's different. You got one that takes place in a mental ward. You got one that takes place in just a house. It's called Murder House. That was the first season. You got one that takes place in a hotel. That was actually a really good season. Very twisted. There's some twisted storytelling to be had, and they're all, we're talking 9-10 episodes, so it's lengthy. It's an hour a piece, so it's some lengthy horror to be had throughout the show. What season are they on now?
Oh, so oh, go ahead.
I was just saying, the newest season, which I think is on Hulu now. I don't think it's come to Netflix yet, but it's called 1984, and it is going to be modeled after 1980 slasher films. So I'm pretty excited about that.
You sign me up for that one then.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I honestly I've only watched one season of that. Now I think it was called Asylum.
Yeah.
I believe that's what it was, Asylum. From what I've seen, I liked it. But at the time I didn't have Netflix or anything like that, so I pretty much just didn't really have a real way to watch it. And honestly, it just got so far that I didn't really give it a chance after that. Another one that I'm hearing a lot of fuss about, my buddy Kyle at work, he's been telling me about Supernatural. But I haven't, I think they're like on season 18 now. So
yeah. I don't know if I don't know. Would Supernatural be considered horror? I know it's two brothers that like haunt the paranormal. Not haunt, they hunt the paranormal. I hear great things about the show. It's been on forever. I think they're finally wrapping things up with their final season now.
yeah.
But yeah, I've heard good things about it. I wouldn't, just from what I've seen and heard, I wouldn't classify it as horror. I could be wrong though. It could be like a thriller or horror kind of deal.
Yeah. I mean, I was willing to give it a chance. The Walking Dead, of course, we watched pretty religiously in our household. Like,
Yeah.
that's something that we really love, and I think it's honestly the moral aspect of it. I think that's what I really like about it. It's just
Yeah.
honestly, like you were talking about, what kind of show it really is, and to me, it's really based around morals. And I just really love that, decision making on, basically, do you save your own skin or your neighbor,
Yeah.
So, but it's that,
Yep.
and actually, we just recently started watching Dexter again.
Oh yeah.
Well, the reason being is because I don't know if you guys heard, but they're bringing Dexter back. So
Yep. Hopefully to
I
rectify or retcon that abysmal final season.
yeah, I've heard nothing but bad things about that final season. I honestly I'd never even watched it, so I
And
need
when you'll get to it,
I'm
you'll know. You'll be like, okay, yeah, this is pretty
this
bad.
is what everyone's talking about.
Yeah, but great show.
Because
Fantastic
even
show.
like I was talking to my uncle about it last night, and he was like, "Oh man, I hate that last episode. That last episode's terrible." And I'm like, "I hear bad things."
It's last few episodes really. Like it gets weird.
Okay.
That whole season just gets weird. I
But
mean, it starts off good because it gets intense, but it's also like, you just kind of left feeling dirty. So, so I'm looking at IMDb now. Supernatural is considered a fantasy horror.
okay,
So,
Nice.
cool.
while I'm here though, Stranger Things,
Hmm.
it is considered horror. It's like it says fantasy horror. I'd have to say sci-fi horror.
It's
Fantasy
a fine
sci-fi
line.
horror. Huh?
That's definitely a fine line between the two, I think.
Yeah.
I've only watched the first season of that, but from what
That,
I've seen, I really like.
Oh
yeah,
man.
that's the only season I've seen is the first season. That's actually the last like actual series I watched was Stranger Things. That
That's a
first
bummer
season.
'cause I would love to talk about it.
Yeah. Oh man, that first season was fucking fantastic though, man.
Yeah.
I was hooked.
Yeah. The
Man, it
second
was good.
season is weird because it has like this weird sub arc right in the middle of the show where 11 like groups up with this like these strange people and she kind of goes like punk rock and she's like, I'm a rebel, I can do what I want kind of deal. And that kind of confused fans a little because they were like, y'all are on track and then y'all kind of sidetracked a little bit and then they pulled it back in towards the end of the season. But the third season, I think they did a good job with the pacing. Like it was more of what you liked about the first one. Just way more intense, way more in your face. So, um, I'd say overall the first season probably was the best. But the show's consistently been pretty good. So I would definitely suggest watching 2 and 3. And there's a season 4 coming, which season 3 ended where they could have ended it for a while and left it at that, but they right after the credits, of course, there's spoilers. Season 4 is going to be made, and I don't know what they're gonna do.
As long as it's making money, man, they're gonna keep making them.
Oh yeah,
Keep,
I'll milk the hell out of it.
they're
I'm
gonna
just
milk the hell out of it.
Yeah, I'm just it's one of those things though, it's like what could they do? What could they possibly do without being too far fetched? But I'm thinking about it, I'm like, this show's already been far fetched. Fuck it, just do it. It's a lot of times we get caught up in like the realism of movies and television and we forget that it's Hollywood.
Yeah,
Like, just
it's
do it.
just film.
Yeah.
Um, just a quick note. While I was on a Dexter kick, I did try and do a little bit of research today to find out when the new show begins, or if the rumor was actually true that it's going to begin. It has, I believe, it has begun filming. Michael C. Hall has signed on the contract, so he will be playing Dexter. Um, and it's supposed to air in the fall of 2021. So literally next year from now.
Wow.
Yeah. So I was sharing that information with my wife, and it was kind of a bummer because we're like, we need to hurry up and watch this. So we've got like 8 seasons to watch. And then I was
Mhm.
like, no, not even if we get caught up like right now, with all the binge watching and everything, we still have to wait a whole year.
Yeah.
So that kind of sucks. But I'm still excited because I used to love watching Dexter, so it's fun stuff.
Hell yeah.
Um, what other franchises did you guys want to discuss or talk about? There's some that I was even looking through my collection and going, you know what, this is a franchise. Tony, you talked about the Hatchet films earlier. That's
Yeah.
technically now a franchise. Uh,
There's Final.
Oh, go ahead.
I was just say that just looking on this list here, I got pulled up. There's Final Destination, which got franchised to death.
Mm-hmm.
The first one I think still the best, just because it was a little bit I guess a little more down to earth. It got that you talk about a movie that went from 0 to 60. Like the first movie was pretty tame, and then the second movie they just went all out with the gore. They're like, "All right, you guys are hooked. Now open up the gore gates,"
Pretty
and that movie just
exactly
went.
how it happened.
Yeah, that
But
movie went crazy with it.
I tell you, there was one in that whole series that I fucking hated the most was the race car one. The one at the fucking racetrack was so shit. It was garbage. Oh, it's fucking terrible. It's like, how can we kill rednecks at this point?
You
And they went
heard you
for it.
guys like Trump, blah.
It was pretty bad. I think it was number 5 if I'm not mistaken. I can kind of relate to that one because it takes place in like a steel plant, and that's obviously where I work. And there was this guy. So the I think the kill scene is where like the foreman's standing there and he's like new to the floor and all the guys are giving him shit because he's this young guy that they just brought in or whatever. And out of nowhere there was this crane incident where the hoist gave or the brakes gave on the hoist, and next thing you know wire ropes are coming down and everything, and the huge bucket's coming down or whatever, the hook, and you see it like fall over the rail or whatever, and then next thing you know it like jumps up and grabs him like right underneath the chin and just like pulls him over a catwalk, and it's like holy shit.
Mm.
Because I mean I can kind of relate to that one because I work around that stuff, so I'm like, oh my god, that's that's pretty intense. um One of the ones that actually I wanted to mention because like I said I was kind of just glancing through my collection, um the Wrong Turn films.
Oh yeah.
It's a good one. Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't even think about those.
I didn't either. And then I was like, you know what? That's 6 of them. And I believe they're filming a 7th right now,
Man,
if
oh
I'm
man.
not mistaken.
I remember the first two being really fun. The third one was complete shit. I hated that one. I was
Yeah.
not a
Was,
fan of that one at all.
was that the one where they were trying to film everything?
No, that was the second one, but the third one was the one where there was like they were on a bus or something. The bus broke down. I can't remember. I just remember it being terrible. It's terrible. And I don't remember. I remember. God, does the fourth one take place? It's like a snow setting. Yeah, yeah. The
Yeah.
fourth one, the fourth one was fun. I enjoyed that one, and then the fifth one was pretty cool. The sixth one, I think one of those, I think it was the fifth or the sixth one had Doug Bradley in it.
I believe that was number 5, where he was
Yeah,
kind of like a father figure to him.
yeah, I think that was the fifth one. Which there you go. There's another franchise, the Hellraiser franchise.
Hellraiser franchise, yeah.
That's another one.
Yeah.
Speaking of Doug Bradley, but yeah, I have fun with that franchise, man. The only one I really hated was part three. I couldn't stand that one.
Was Wishmaster a franchise, or did they only make 3?
Um,
Tony?
I want to say they made more than three. Um, the exact number I'm not quite sure, but I feel like they did. Wait a
Wishmaster
minute,
2, 3.
they might have only made
Yeah,
three.
they made
Yeah,
4.
they
The
did.
prophecy fulfilled.
Oh, okay.
Huh.
All right.
I've only seen number 1. I know that's kind of a shame, but yeah, that's the only one I've seen.
I haven't
Just
seen
went.
those movies in a very long time.
Well, Vestron put out that collection. I had to pick that up because I was like, man, Wishmaster on Blu-ray? Hell yeah, I gotta get that.
Tony, I would say number 3 in as far as franchise wise that I love the most, Return of the Living Dead franchise.
Oh, okay. Yeah, dude. Part
I mean,
three is
that's considered. I would say that's considered franchise
yeah,
at this
definitely.
point because you have 3. Um, is number 4 Necropolis?
Um, I think so because then there's another one called Raid to the Grave or something like that.
Yeah, Rave to the Grave. Yeah,
Yeah, I think that one might be the fifth one or something.
yeah.
Necropolis is one too. Yeah. Um, that's a man. There's a lot of franchises that have really strong like trilogies. You know,
Hmm.
I think about that. I think about the Child's Play franchise. The first 3 Child's Plays are really really good.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Um, I mean, really good. Some of the best. I mean, I kind of lost it with Seed of Chucky. Bride of Chucky was all right, but Seed of Chucky just that was the jump the shark moment for me. I was like, I can't.
Did you ever watch Curse?
I did. I actually found that pretty enjoyable.
That was the one with Brad Dorff's daughter, correct? Fiona Dorff.
Mhm. Wheelchair,
Yeah,
yeah. Yeah.
that was the
I actually
one
like.
where they tied all of them together. I really enjoyed how they did that in that film.
Yeah,
Because there
and
for
then
a while it was kind of like, how does that fit in? How does that fit in? This doesn't make sense to me. And then they kind of
exactly,
just tied it all together.
and then Cult of Chucky. I can't remember. I watched it, but I can't remember too much about that one, honestly. So that's probably not a good sign.
I haven't even watched that one yet.
But Curse, I liked. I thought that was pretty solid.
Yeah, Curse was really well.
Yeah, it's not the best franchise, but it's got some good ones in it. And again, we can't. I mean, we'd be remiss if we don't talk about the Halloween franchise, man.
Obviously.
Yeah, obviously. I mean, that one had to come up. Uh, I mean, I've like I said, my Halloween, the first Halloween is a masterpiece, but Halloween 2 is a fun like follow up. I've always enjoyed that one. Halloween 3 is the redheaded stepchild of the franchise because, of course, no Michael Myers. They don't touch on that. So a lot of
Well,
people, as soon as that came out, it was automatically hated. But it's found new love in the past, I'd say, 10
yeah,
years. A lot of people
it's got
find it
it's got a
solid.
giant cult following now.
Yeah, it's a giant cult following, dude.
Um, here's my thing. I think I heard that somebody talked about this one time. I don't know if it was John Carpenter or something, but Halloween was meant to be a franchise, but an anthology franchise, if I'm not
Right.
mistaken. That's what I heard.
Different
So
stories taking place on Halloween.
yes,
So
so
the
that's
Mike Myers
why.
story was the Mike Myers story was supposed to be the first one, and then they were supposed to, but that character became so iconic that they had to keep making the movies centered around him
Yeah,
because that was the backlash for part 3. They did not have him in it, so that's why the fourth one is the return of Michael Myers. They had to let the fans know, hey, he's back. There's no, there's no denying that he's not going to be in this. He's definitely going to be in this. So
yeah.
yeah,
Are you excited about Halloween Kills, by the way?
uh, kind of, and then like I said, it's going to be a while before we get it because it's slated for 2021 too. So there's going to be a lot of time in between.
Yeah.
I'm kind of curious where they're going to take it, the way that what 2018's Halloween ended. Kind of curious
Yeah.
where they're going to go with it.
Well, I've already.
But
I mean, if you watch the trailer, it gives it away in the trailer.
see, that's the thing. I didn't watch the trailer because trailers do give away too much, and that's why I don't watch trailers
Yeah,
because
I mean, it gave you, this is how Michael Myers lived. I mean,
yeah,
instantly as soon as the trailer happened, because it wasn't a full trailer, it was more of a teaser trailer, and it
okay,
was like literally like 20 or 30 seconds long. And I mean, they showed like a real quick clip, and it's like, oh fuck, well there you go, you just told me how he's gonna live.
exactly. That's why I don't watch trailers, man. They spoil too much in trailers. I just can't.
Hmm.
I just can't do it.
Yeah, I was showing
But
the trailer of 1922 to my wife, and they were showing like hell of spoilers in that.
See, that's why I don't do them, man. These companies, these studios have a way of doing that. They put too much information out in the trailer because they have to get the audience hooked in. So they got to put all the important shit in there. It's like, no, you don't you don't spoil the movie in the trailer. That defeats the purpose of going to see the movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean,
like
with that,
telling you what's gonna happen, and you go in to watch it. It's like, really? Come on, man.
with that being said, though, Halloween has such a huge fan base. I mean, you throw John Carpenter's name on a movie along with Deborah Hill, and uh, potentially Nick Castle and Jamie Lee Curtis. I mean, you're gonna have a big fan base hit that. There's gonna be people watching that. You don't need to put a teaser trailer out.
Mm-hmm.
So I know it's getting late at this point. Probably gonna get ready to land the plane, if I'm not mistaken. But I was just kind of browsing before we started recording. I did find this list of every horror movie franchise ranked per Metacritic. Now there was a couple of movies that did not rank. There's a major caveat. At some point, many horror franchises start releasing films in theaters and switch to direct-to-video model, or they choose that route from the beginning. Those straight-to-home video films tend to not get reviewed by our usual group of critics. Thus, we are unable to calculate a Metascore for those films. Metascores require at least 4 reviews. As a result, several long-running horror franchises did not hit our 4 films with scores minimum and are not included in our ranking. These excluded franchises include Critters, Phantasm, Prom Night, Puppet Master, Return of the Living Dead, and a couple others, including Anaconda and Lake Placid, which I didn't know were franchised.
Yeah.
Pumpkinhead, Silent Night, Tremors, Leprechaun, and Wrong Turn. But here are just I'll go through some of the ranked ones here. Coming in at number 33 is Friday the 13th. Then you have Amityville Horror.
Yeah,
Saw is actually tied for number 30, which was one. I wanted to touch on that one, but I still think the first one's the best.
Oh, for sure.
It is.
Hands down.
Hands
down. I enjoyed the second one. I just feel like they kind of went off the rails a bit with them. But the first one's still the best. Still one of my personal favorite endings in a horror movie.
Oh, so powerful.
Like, holy shit, the killer's been on the floor the whole time, that kind of deal.
Yep.
I don't know why number 30 is tied with Saw and Scary Movie. Like, why is Scary Movie on there? Seriously?
Wow.
Yeah. Underworld at number 29, which we all watched that movie for one reason. Her name is Kate.
Oh, that was her name?
Kate Beckinsale. It's tied for number 27 with Resident Evil. Or no, excuse me. Resident Evil is tied for number 27 along with Final Destination.
Wow.
26 is Piranha. How did Piranha?
Hold on, wait a minute. Piranha's franchised? I didn't realize that.
Apparently.
I didn't.
There is, there's Piranha, Piranha 2, The Spawning, Piranha 3D, Piranha 3DD.
That was a thing. Okay.
With a Metacore score of 24.
Damn.
Oh.
Right, yeah. Somehow beating Friday the 13th. Like, who the hell?
What the fuck, man? That
Number 25 is Predator.
That's not horror.
It's not really horror. I mean, I guess it sci-fi horror, but like Alien was way more terrifying than any of the Predator movies.
I mean, to truly define a horror film, I would say horror is what Tony, we've went over this before. It's essentially a film that has horrific scenes in it. So, I mean, yeah, I guess it could be. Yeah.
Well,
but you never felt scared watching it though.
No,
right.
I felt that I was watching more of an action film.
Yeah.
Well,
maybe action sci-fi.
The funny thing is, people get into the debate whether or not the first Predator is a slasher film.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. It doesn't really follow any of the tropes.
Right, but they say that in Terminator, they even throw Terminator in there as being a slasher film, which I'm like, what? I mean,
No,
first
no
of
way.
first of all, he doesn't slash anybody.
He's
So
it's an
2000
alien,
does.
right? I mean, technically, it's an alien film, right? Well, no, not really. He's a robot.
It's a sci-fi robot movie.
yeah,
Yeah.
RoboCop.
it's funny. People really, really believe that both of those movies are legit slasher movies. Crazy, it blows my
Scary,
mind.
scary scene in Predator is the pimp in the the alley.
So,
There's no killer that can't be killed. With his little skull sword. Number 23 is a tie with Halloween and Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
I can't believe those are so low. Man. Wow.
Yeah,
22 is
Tony, I wanted to bring that up real quick. What is your thoughts on Texas? I mean, because there's what 1, 2, and 3, right? Well, then you had the New Beginning, correct? Or was
Yeah,
that number 3?
Next Generation, that piece of
Next
shit.
generation.
Fucking terrible movie.
And then
It's
all the
another.
remakes.
That's another one where the first one, of course, is a masterpiece. The second one's really out there. It's a good movie in and of itself, but I mean, it's completely different from the first one. And then the third
Yeah.
one's not really my cup of tea. I didn't really enjoy it too much. It's got Ken Faree in it, but other than that, it's like, not really too solid. Next Generation is absolute dog shit. Um, Terrible, absolutely awful. I mean, they turn Leatherface into like this whiny little bitch, and it's like, really, like, come on, man. Like
Yeah.
that's not the direction you want to go. But the remake was really good, and then the prequel to the remake was really solid as well. So, I mean, when you
Would
take
you
those,
would you lump the film Leatherface in with that as well?
I guess you would have to,
Yeah.
considering it part of the main, like, the story. Um,
Yeah.
of the family, and basically once again another prequel, because it takes place when Leatherface and the Sawyers are younger, and he's just a kid in the beginning of that movie. So yeah, I would throw that in there as well as part of the franchise. But yeah, that's a very divisive franchise, man. um, TCM. I knew we were probably going to touch on that one a little bit, but it's really divisive.
Mhm.
The first two are fun. I mean, the first one's a masterpiece, of course. Second one's fun. And then the remake is fun, and then the prequel to that one is really fun. So those are the ones I like. All the other ones, not so much.
Number 22 is Hellraiser.
Yep. There it is.
21 is The Hills Have Eyes.
Was there more? Well, I guess if you lump the remakes in,
Yep.
See, there
there
is
was 2 remakes alone.
there's Hills Have Eyes, Hills Have Eyes Part 2, which was
Hmm.
1985. Then the remake in 2006. And then 2007 they made the sequel, which I guess would be
The 4th film.
Yep.
Okay.
uh Jaws was number 19.
How did I not fucking say that?
Yeah, dude. I was surprised. I
I
thought
was
you
waiting
would.
for it.
Yeah,
Well, let's be honest though. There's one Jaws, then a bunch of wannabes.
exactly. There's always going to be one Jaws.
Yeah.
That's all, that's it.
It's
There's
always
Jaws.
has-beens and wannabes.
That's the movies that want to be Jaws. That will never be Jaws.
Yeah.
I just somebody needs to make a parody video of the scene where the boat captain's telling that horrific story about his men getting eaten alive. Like that whole scene, but he's talking about the sequels to Jaws. 1978. They thought it'd be a good idea to make a sequel. Turns out it was not.
Yeah, that needs to be done.
So it's actually tied at number 19 with Godzilla.
No, Godzilla. Wow.
Wow.
Yep.
Yeah.
About
I mean,
Godzilla.
realistically, how many Godzilla movies are there? There's a
Oh,
fuck
dude.
ton of them.
The only
There's-
ones that are listed is Godzilla King of Monsters in 56, King Kong versus Godzilla in 62, Godzilla in 1985, Godzilla in 1998, which is, of course, the Matthew Broderick one, And then the Godzilla 2014, which I guess that was the Bryan Cranston one.
Yeah.
Was it that long ago? 2014?
Yeah.
Fuck. Okay. But they had a bunch of Godzillas. Like, didn't make it to US theaters, of course. The good ones, anyway. Number 18, Omen.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
wow.
There's 4 of those. Well, there's 3 and then a remake, 2006 remake. And then 17, Insidious. No, 16, this one pissed me off. Paranormal Activity.
Oh,
Dog shit that movie was.
Absolutely.
God.
I didn't watch any of the other ones. I watched the first one and I said, this is terrible.
Yeah, but with that being said,
how it was for me.
With that being said, it had a major viewing audience because I've said this to Tony several times in the past that we live in a day and age now where it's always about haunting movies or ghost films or case in point paranormal activity bullshit that people want to go see, and suddenly the mainstream audience it appeals to.
Yeah, I think because it's less gory. Like, not everyone can handle gore.
No, I really can't.
But we live in a day and age where everyone loves jump scares now.
Yeah. And I'm cool with jump scares. I'm cool with like paranormal stuff, but this movie just sucked.
Yeah, it's
the whole franchise.
Like that whole franchise sucked. Yeah, I mean, if you want a good paranormal haunting jump scare movie, watch like The Conjuring. Those movies were solid. Insidious was solid.
Watch Poltergeist.
Absolutely, yeah. Paranormal Activity. Me and Daryl watched that movie together, and we were literally looking at each other halfway through. We're like, "This movie's garbage." Like, this was the hype. We were so hyped to watch it. We're like, man, people were talking about how scary this movie was, and we're watching it. And we're like, this is not scary at all.
Yeah, the hype was there for that.
And then everyone's like, it's just based on real events, and it's real. Demonic possession's real. And I'm like, yeah, I believe that. But this was a terrible representation of demonic possession. Like, I'll show you movies that talk about true stories of demonic possession, and they were a lot scarier than this movie.
I think Kelsey had it on one day, and I like walked in the room, and there was like a Ouija board sitting on the coffee table that all of a sudden magically just caught on fire. And she's like, "This is pretty scary stuff." And I'm like, "Can we watch fucking Twilight or something?"
Yeah.
Oh shit.
Twilight is a scary movie. Number 15, Child's Play.
Hell yeah.
14, The Purge.
Oh yeah, that's a franchise now.
The thing, yep.
Number 13, Nightmare on Elm Street.
Okay.
12, The Exorcist.
Hmm.
Number 11, Poltergeist. Number 10, REC.
No, the Wreck franchise.
Yeah, the Wreck. Yeah.
So the original Wreck was remade in the U.S. the following year as Quarantine, which I loved that movie.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. If you love that, dude, you got to watch the original Wreck. It's fucking awesome.
Yeah, I need to check that out.
It's so good. It's so good.
Number 9 is the Conjuring universe, which they lumped them all together. Conjuring, Annabelle, Conjuring 2, Annabelle Creation, and The Nun.
And they got Conjuring 3 coming out this year as well.
Oh, goodness.
Yeah.
Well, didn't the lady who originally started that, like her and her husband, they went on all them paranormal hunts and stuff. Didn't she recently pass away?
Yeah, I think earlier this year she died. And I don't think it was due to COVID. I forget. No. I forget what she died from. I think honestly it was just old age, but
she's old as shit.
Yeah.
Do I know?
You said something, Tony?
Oh no, I said that's probably it.
Number 8 is Scream.
There it is.
Course.
Number 7, King Kong.
Is that a franchise?
There's a bunch of remakes. You had King Kong, The Son of King Kong, which they both came out in the same year.
Wow.
They must have filmed things back to back. King Kong versus Godzilla, King Kong 76, which was the one we talked about. That was the good one. That's the one with Jeff Bridges.
Mm-hmm.
Really good. King Kong Lives in 86, King Kong 2005, which is the Peter Jackson one, which has the second highest Metacritic score. The highest being the original 33 King Kong. Then Kong Skull Island,
Kong
which has
Skull Island.
which is a 62. I personally thought that one was way better than the Peter Jackson one. Number 6 is Alien. Number 5, Hannibal Lecter, which is, I would say, is another one of my favorite franchises, but I haven't seen a couple of them. I think I've seen most of them. There might be one I'm missing. I can't remember which one it is. But I love me a good psychological horror. In fact, it was a tradition every year I watched the movie 7 for Halloween.
Oh, 7's so good.
It's so good. It's in the box. Number 4, Evil Dead, which is interesting.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it's
well,
it's franchised.
The remake. So
there's another Evil Dead coming out. Did y'all know that?
Yeah, there's another coming up too.
I don't think it's a sequel to the Army of Darkness. I think it might be a remake of the sequel, correct?
That I don't know. I had to do some research.
Kind of like the sequel of the remake that came out in 2013, I think it was, or 2014.
Yeah,
I think it was 2013. Yeah.
But I have heard rumor, or I thought it was in the works of them talking about potentially doing Army of Darkness or something. Of course, now that's always, ever since the 90s, they've always wanted to do that. But I think I have heard that they've recently talked about it or something.
Right. Number 3, Psycho.
There it is.
Number 2, Night of the Living Dead.
Oh, damn, dude! Really?
Number 1, interesting enough, is Invasion of the Body Snatchers.
Oh wow! Yes.
I didn't see that coming.
Wow. Well, because you had the original, and then you had and then what was it? The 1976 Invasion of the Body Snatchers, which is hands down my favorite.
You're next.
There was there a third one there? I know others.
Yeah, there was one in the 90s. There was one in the 90s.
You had 93 Body Snatchers.
Yeah.
Okay.
Then you had 2007 The Invasion.
The Invasion is what it's called. Why did I think? Oh, because Nicole Kidman is in the movie The Others.
Yeah, which is a ghost movie.
Yeah, which is, I don't like it. I didn't even give Invasion a chance. No, the original with Jeff Goldblum. Well, it's not the original, but the one with Jeff Goldblum, I love. That one's great. It freaked me out when I first watched it because I was a young kid, and the scene where the homeless guy falls asleep with his dog, and the next thing you know, they're like in line, pretending to be part of the pod people.
Yeah.
And that dog comes running up and starts barking, and it's got a human head, and that creeped the shit out of me.
If I had a dime for every time that happened to me.
Yeah.
I never looked at a dog the same. I was like, fuck dogs, man. I don't want a dog now.
I did like a year ago, I watched the original and then I watched the 70 remake, and that was a good double feature, man. Really, really good. Really fun seeing both of them back to back like that. It's just kind of like watching The Thing from Another World and then watching John Carpenter's The Thing like back to back as a double feature. Really fun. Really interesting.
Yeah, I'd love to do that. I was actually sitting here thinking how I would love to watch Body Snatchers again. Also been wanting to watch They Live again. I had my hands on a copy at the flea market and almost bought it. And I did.
Fucking love that movie, man. Anything Carpenter, I'm fucking down for. He's such a good director. My favorite director.
Did you have your hands on the Scream Factory Blu-ray?
I did not. Yeah, I was just in a DVD.
Spend the extra dollar and get that Blu-ray. Just don't be an idiot like me and throw away the fucking sticker that comes with it.
The buy sticker.
Yeah, it was like buy me. I was like, I already bought you. What the fuck is this? I threw it away. And I think my oldest like walked in the room and he was like, can I have that sticker? I was like, yeah, here, take it. And then I watched the movie and I was like, I'm such an idiot. Because by then my son had destroyed it.
Oh yeah.
Awesome.
Oh yeah. Oh man, it breaks my
Night of the Living Dead. How did that make its way on there?
That breaks my heart.
How did Night of the Living Dead make its way on there?
It had to be remakes or something.
Yeah, the dead franchise.
Yeah,
Okay.
probably. Yeah.
Well, so like or not Shaun of the Dead, but Dawn of the Dead is considered part of that franchise.
Yeah, Dawn, Day. Yep. And then there was a slew of remakes and shit like the Dawn remake, and then they did a Day remake.
I know there was like Night of the Living Dead, 3D, which
Yeah,
I have.
did that shit too.
It's Sid Haig. What do you want?
Yeah. And then Savini did his remake of Night of the Living Dead. So
He did.
yeah.
Okay.
So that's a solid franchise right there, man. That's a damn good franchise right there. I mean, the first, like I said, up until Savini's remake, is fucking solid.
Mm-hmm.
Once the ones that came out in the 2000s were, most of those were complete shit. Like the Day of the Dead remake was awful. And then whatever else, that 3D one. But people like the Dawn of the Dead remake. I'm not too big of a fan of it, but it was okay. So that's a solid franchise.
Well, I like how it took its own spin. There was certain things that it did different from the original, which I liked. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm always a fan of that. If you're gonna remake a film, make it your own. Don't do it shot for shot. That pisses me off.
Don't do the Psycho remake. God, don't do that. Terrible. Yeah, definitely. That's the key to a successful remake, is to take the original premise, the original story, and just tweak it and make it your own, and add something different to it, but keep it familiar. And I think you'll be successful.
I always use this as an example when you mention it like that, because like the Stephen King's The Mist, the book actually ends on a very positive note. The movie does not.
The ending of that movie is one of the most downer endings of all time.
Yeah. So when you get to that point, and you watch it and contrast to the book, you're like, well, what the hell happened? Well, the directors were, gutsy enough to try something different, and Stephen King actually praised them for it and liked their ending of their movie better than the book.
Mm-hmm.
So, I think it's cool when they do that.
Yep. I always bring it back to the Maniac remake, how they did that. That was brilliant. That's absolutely brilliant. They took the story, tweaked it, did their own thing, and it was flawless. I mean, it was really, really good. One of the best remakes to ever come out. So, like I said, I always think about that. I'm like, just take the original story or take the original idea and tweak it, make it your own, but keep it familiar, and then you're good.
Mm-hmm.
That's how you do it.
Yep.
Yep.
Couldn't agree more. Well, you guys ready to land this thing?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
All right, folks. Well, you've been listening to the Midnight Monster Corner podcast. We hope you enjoyed this episode 18, fellas. So that's awesome.
Wow.
Yeah, episode 18. Franchises, horror franchises we talked about. And like always, this is going to be on YouTube. So like, share, subscribe, and hit that notification button, and join the conversation. Get with us and tell us what your favorite picks are in a franchise. What's your likes, what's your dislikes? Did you agree with some of our picks, and do you disagree? and explain why, please. We would love to have you part of the conversation. If you want to be a part of that conversation, you can head over to the Facebook group. You just type in Midnight Monster Corner podcast in the search engine, and you will find our page. And there you can ask to join, and we will let you in and have fun. You can also check out TikTok. I'm starting out on there. I've got 2 videos out so far, but a pretty big fan base so far on there actually. You can check it out. It's Midnight Monster 20 on there, and follow us on there for updates on the podcast and stuff like that. Guys, you want to add anything to that or?
Yeah. Check out my other podcast, the Loot Bros podcast. We talk about video games and other nerd culture. You can find us on SoundCloud, iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, pretty much Spotify, pretty much anywhere you can listen to podcasts. We're there. So be sure to check us out there and subscribe and tell your friends and all that jazz. I do have an Instagram at the PG Frosty, one word, I believe. Haven't been on in a while. I'm trying to remedy that, but just follow me there. I haven't joined the TikTok world yet, but that might be something I could try. Maybe an OnlyFans. You play your cards right. So, but yeah, just like Corey said, join our Facebook group, be a part of the discussion, like, share, subscribe at our YouTube channel. We're looking to expand this thing and put out more content for you guys and gals. We want to be able to eventually do movie commentaries and all that too. So, keep supporting, and it'll motivate us to do more too. So, that would be a lot of fun. So,
Absolutely, dude.
Oh yeah. Tony, you got anything?
Oh no, man! Like I said, I'm a slacker when it comes to the social media and stuff like that. I only have Facebook, and I'm barely on it. But like I said, just having a blast doing this podcast, man, and whatever we can do to get more discussions, and like I said, more people saying, hey, well, get in the comment section, say, hey, this is my favorite franchise, and yeah, that back and forth would be awesome, dude. So yeah, I'd love to see more of that. Just to generate conversation and generate a little buzz. So,
Hell yeah.
Yep.
All right. Well, with that, later, guys.
Later.
Peace.